Can it be? Bit rate is not setting. I'm gonna get a faster bit rate. Oh, here we go. There we go. Problem fix. $4,000. Just change that to 4,000. Okay. The output is low. That's what I changed it to. Changed it to. Okay. Okay. Seems good. Hopefully. Okay. We're gonna have issues doing this live stream. No, maybe so. Maybe. I'm not sure. Output fast. Oh, alright, it's not so fast. Ultra fast. CPU time, I'm okay with just actually using that. everything looks good right now in terms of what is going on with chat? Okay. Alright, I'll wait for a few people to see if we can get people to join. I'm doing just I guess a live stream test here, trying to get things set up. I'm not sure if any of this stuff is even good right now in terms of streaming to you guys. So we'll see if anyone wants to join tonight. But what I got going here is Kenny's Discus. Haven't really looked at this list in forever, I guess. Probably a couple months, years now. Seems like years. Wanted to kind of see what he has for the December month, and kind of see if there's anything interesting. Not planning to get any new Discus anytime soon, but hey, you know, you never know, right? So let's see here. So Kenny's Discus. So normally, if you guys are new to Kenny's Discus, he pretty much has a list that comes out monthly. Very nice Discus in general, and for the most part, he'll have a couple of them that are pretty much the same as always, but he'll change it up pretty much. Let me kind of adjust this real quick. I think the mic gain might be too high. Okay, I think we'll be okay there. Yo, what's up? We got one new person. So yeah, let me know how the live stream is. This is my first time doing it live. If it's bad, let me know. Text it up. But let's see here. So we got this list going. What I was saying was, like, he normally has a list that comes out every month, and based on what you want, he'll have pretty much, you know, anything smallest would be like around 3 inches, 3.5 inches, and then he'll get all the way up to the big dudes, and then the rarer strains of Discus. But let's kind of go through this list and see if there's anything interesting that maybe anyone likes. on this. Okay, let's see here. So let's see. I'm just kind of browsing real quick to see if anything catches my eye that I would probably end up possibly getting. This one right here. I'm gonna look and see what this one looks like. The red covered cross sounds pretty cool. I'm a big fan of red discus. Yep. You are the only one. This is my first live stream, so just trying to figure things out, and then I didn't really like list it, so that's why you're the only one here if you're just online. Well, thank you for showing up, by the way. So let's see here. So they got some albino strains that are pretty interesting. The white butterflies, these are also my favorites in terms of just discus in general. Okay, let's see what else they got here. Some cross. So red strains. Okay, so these heckles, yeah. So I'm really interested to see what these red heckle crosses are. There was a red heckle, or a red heckle that was like a long time ago, like almost like a year ago, that I really wanted, but the price was kind of ridiculous. But okay, so I'm kind of interested in that. Let's see what those look like in terms of pictures. Let's see what these other ones look like. They look alright. They look alright. So let's go down to some of these nicer ones. These are red egos, I believe. Yep, red egos. This one's been kind of a staple for Kenny's Discus. He brings in some really nice ones. Forrest is the actual breeder over there that actually kind of picks a lot of these for Kenny. Let's see here, some really nice ones. Sapphires. Alright, let's scroll a little bit more. Turquoise. Now, a lot of these will have different names, and it just really depends on the seller or breeder. They'll come up with some unique names to try to get people to buy into a different strain, but really a lot of them are pretty much the same, I would say, and it's just, you know, a breeder naming it slightly different to try to get people to buy it. Okay, let's scroll down. I want to see the red heckle. Albino platinums. So these guys just look straight up just like white, almost like the white butterflies. As they get older, they become more white. They're albino because of their eyes. It's just interesting color there. Very nice, very nice. What's this one? Red cover? Interesting. I do, my current discus pair right now is a red cover, so the red on this one, I'm surprised the albino actually still retains the red there. Well, here's the butterfly. So here's, oh, this is an albino one, which is interesting. But with the white butterflies, they actually have pattern when they're younger, and then as they get older, they'll kind of lose that and just become more white, which is pretty cool too. So you kind of like to see a phase change on those discus. We are on the next page. Moving on to the next page. Also, the you know, if we get more than just one person, but if you have any questions, definitely hit it up in the chat, and I'll see if I can help answer any of your questions. Golden snakeskin. Interesting. Where's the red heckle cross? Is this the butterfly? Nope. That's a checkerboard pigeon. Why don't you grow your and emerge? Ah, very good question. We got two people. I do actually. I do have both. I just prefer growing I do have both actually. I just make it I just prefer growing them submerged. It's just easier for people to get them submerged, and the transition part people don't like to deal with because the plant melts and whatnot. Yes, it is cheaper. You do save an expense. I do have like a half kind of thing setup going on, but a lot of it is more submerged. Good question. Good question. Okay, where is this? Forest white butterfly. These are smaller. They're a bit nicer. L73. No, I actually do not have any of those. Actually, I'm kind of curious to see what they look like. Oh, these guys. Are they variants? Yeah, they're variants of the zebras. I actually have zebra plecos. So I don't really keep I don't want to say that completely, but I try not to keep the same plecos, just because you can kind of get them confused when you're trying to breed them or try to separate them. But these are very nice too. Super nice. Do you have them kept, I guess? Still trying to find the red heckle cross pictures. Oh, this is it. Here we go. Red heckle cross. Yes, these the plecos, there are some really rare ones to get. Actually what's really funny is some of the ones that are really common in certain countries or whatever are super rare in US just because we don't get them imported. Like the one that was really recent was the red tiger pleco, and I recently got these guys 397 I think plecos. They've been out for a while, and actually what's really interesting is if you get them in Australia, for example, if you guys are out in Australia, these guys are like they go for like 20-40 bucks or something like that, and then like when they first came over to US they were like over like 100 bucks, you know. Now prices has dropped for these because we have a little bit more steady imports for these guys, and we actually have some breeders, but they're super nice, you know. They're like a red tiger form, really nice. I actually have a couple of these. They're smaller. I'm hoping to grow them out just to see what they look like. I'm hoping to get some of these nicer ones. So yeah. Let's see here. Welcome, welcome. We got 3 people. That's awesome. I didn't really. This is a complete like test run on the stream, guys. Let me know if the audio is bad, the picture, the chat, anything. Just because this is all brand new right now. I'm just like still playing with like settings and whatnot, so things might not be the best. So let me know in the chat if there's any adjustments I need to make here. So I'm just going through Kenny's Discus list, his December list here, and just kind of browsing to see what he has. I haven't looked at this list in a while, but one of them that I was looking for a long time was these red heckle cross. So if you guys aren't really into discus, what's special about the heckles, and then the cross is basically just a breed, you know, breeding 2 different species or strains. But the heckle species has these bars here that are very defined. The heckle especially has the middle one that's super defined, and these other ones are the other bars that normally discus has. But with the heckles, they have these really nice bars here, and I'll show you. Heckle discus. Certain breeders, they go for these traits here, where this stuff here, which is really awesome, where their center bar is just like super like bold, defined, and this is what a lot of the breeders try to get. So when you're looking at any heckle, this is what defines a heckle in terms of a good heckle versus like a bad heckle. Like for example, like this is like a wild heckle. The middle bar isn't well defined, so this isn't like a trait, or this breeders wouldn't like use this to actually breed. But if you had a fish that looked like this would be like a prize fish for heckles, strain pretty much. So yeah, that's a very nice fish, and actually if I were to pick some up, I would probably pick up some of these guys here, just because one, I really like red discus in general, and then on top of it, heckle is another discus that I like, and you're adding like two of those together, it's just like the best of both worlds, right? And some of these do look like they're you know, their bars here look really nice, especially for example like some of these back ones here. This one's a little faded. This one I wouldn't personally pick. If this was like, you know, obviously he only has 5 out of this, it'll probably be like this one, and this one here would be something I would take. This one, yes, the bars are really nicely defined, but they're too thin, I would guess. And like this one's a little bit more bold, so it's something I would probably pick out of this 5 here. Probably these two, just because it's a little bit more pronounced. This one's pretty good too. The bar here is actually pretty big here, and the thing is, like, you know, the fish is like in this bucket, and the water is like, you know, yay deep, so they could be stressed where they're not pronouncing the bars. But that's something, just FYI, if you guys aren't into discus, is something you look for. Do they cross heckles with other fish to produce this trait? Yes, actually, a lot of different strains of heckle. A lot of these, for example, so in the wild, when you get just a normal heckle discus, you'll have like, you'll start with something like this, for example. It will be, you know, a plain dull color, and they'll cross them with like nicer discus, like this blue here or this blue, to get those like better looking discus is what they're going for. So yeah, so you're basically starting with a really plain dull discus, like, which is a wild discus here, that's a heckle, and then you find either like a red cover or some sort of red discus, and you cross them, or even like a nice blue discus, and you cross them, and you get something like this here. This is a wild discus. So that's how they get those really nice ones to cross. And I think actually my current pair, which is a red cover, they have small traits of heckle, but it's not 100% where you actually see those bars like that. So yeah. Oh, here's some more bigger ones, and these are smaller ones. Smaller ones are a little bit harder to actually see, but maybe we can look here. Like, this is a really nice red one with a nice big bar here. This is something that breeders would be looking for here. Like, this one is really nice. This one's really nice. This is probably the best one out of all of them. This one's really well defined too, but the color isn't there. And this one actually looks like, yeah, I totally agree. Kenny personally has the most color strains of discus. Other breeders or other suppliers, they have other types of discus. It might not be as colorful, where, you know, people are attracted to like colorful like fish, but other people may have other strains, like, you know, that are more like, I guess, hardcore discus people would know, that are a little bit more plain, but, you know, they're still just as nice if you're into discus. But Kenny is well known for all the colored discus that is out there. But yeah, this is super nice actually. This one's really nice, and that's probably that one right there. Yep. And actually, this one, even though it's duller, it looks like this one probably is a female. Yeah, maybe a female, and this one looks like a male. The way you can quickly tell, especially when they get like a little bit bigger, it's just their fin here and here. Like, if this one is very close to this in terms of length. This is a male. You see how this one goes here, and then this back fin is like a lot longer, and normally that's a female when that's extended like that. My personal favorite strain, anything red. Anything red. I don't have a specific one, but anything red is really nice. And Heckles are my other one. And something like this is what I would probably, this is probably be like one of my dream discuses to have, is like actually something like this. And that's why I'm actually looking at it, is because I was like, man, I want to see what these look like. But exactly something like this would probably my favorite strain, is like a red plus a Hecko characteristics to it. So I would love to have a tank with just some of these nice red Hecko crosses. Super nice. And you know, Kenny does have like some nice ones, but the one thing is like usually with nicer fish, when you have nicer fish, they become very, very expensive. As you can see here, something like this is like $225 per fish. Very expensive. You can definitely get smaller ones here, and this is a little bit, probably a little bit more affordable. But still, you know, that's a lot of money to shout out for a fish. And I think Kenny might even have a smaller strain and in terms of size. Let me go up here. Nope, I'm going down. And they might be more affordable. And it might be something, you know, you kind of have to roll the dice with, because when you get them smaller, you can't really see if they're going to turn out good in terms of like their traits and their strains, whatever. So you have to kind of roll them out to see, but it's kind of like, you know, you're rolling the dice, right? Trying to see which one's good for a cheaper price. But when you get them big, you know, you already kind of know what they're going to be looking like. And yeah, this is what I have in terms of a pair, is a red cover cross. The pair right now is not behaving. They are always fighting, so I actually have to separate them, you know, from time to time. Ooh, these are very nice too. Super red. I think this is actually newer for Kenny. I've never actually seen this specific name, and again, a lot of the names are probably the same. Ultims, yes, I do. I'm really into Ultims nowadays, especially with the Angels. I have a tank full of them, but this is a very nice combo here. Discus plus Ultims, super nice. And what would be really nice is Ultims plus like a Hecko Discus, where you get those same bars, and all the Ultims have the same bars. That would be very nice. But actually, I've never seen this species offered for Kenny's Discus. Normally, he'll have like for every month, he'll have like one like really super like crazy nice species. And the breeder here, he passed away a couple years ago. He carries some of the like super nice genes and just Discus, like they're like champion breeding like Discus. But he passed away a couple years ago, and yeah, man, he carried some really nice ones. As you can see, just because it's from his gene pools, a well-known breeder here, like the price tag for this is insane. But I mean, look at the Discus though. I mean, you're paying, you know, for that. Like, it's a super nice Discus. Like, it's crazy red. Like I don't know if that's Photoshop or not, but like, if it's not Photoshop, like that is some redness. That's crazy. And it's probably not Photoshop, because if you look at the hand here, it just looks like a normal, like it looks nice, super nice. And these are intermediate versions of that, so these aren't as red. And you know, the price is cut by a third or a third of that, so yeah. We wanted to focus on breeding them, then have lower cost strains in the community. Yeah, oops, these are, go back. Yeah, Yeah, I think definitely we should always try to breed and keep the best species. It doesn't matter what types of fish you have, and try to bring out the best genes so that, you know, that could be carried on to either other breeders, other people that want to breed. And that's the whole culling process where you know, it's sad, but you know, you have to end up killing, you know, the fish that aren't performing, or they don't look good or whatever. But they have different grades, you know, for fish, and that's how you can kind of get into them, right? Because I mean, like, yes, these aren't as colorful, but you know, they're still very nice discus, and to be offered at a lower price, I think that's, you know, very good. And to be honest, some of these red here, what's up, we have a couple of new people on the chat. People are just coming and going, that's fine. First stream, welcome. Would be community. Yeah, I agree, disagree, kind of. If you're paying, yeah, I mean, yeah, the price is crazy. The price is definitely crazy high, and it really just depends. It just really depends on the fish quality that you want to pay for, right? Because I think it's like that for every fish. It's not just discus, right? If you go and just say, like, I want to pick up like the best, you know, angelfish pair or whatever, you're gonna pay like a hefty price, an arm and a leg, to be honest, for that stuff. Nice. You live only 30 minutes away from Kenny's Discus. Nice. I actually, at some point, I would, if I ever go to California and actually in that area, I would like to actually stop by Kenny's place and actually talk to him a long time ago, saying that, hey man, if I'm ever around, you know, in that area, is it cool if I stop by? And he said, yeah, for sure, man. So I would definitely like to go check his place out and just kind of just film and just kind of show you guys what his setup is like, because I don't even think like it's documented. I don't think he posts any pictures, or I'm sorry, videos of that area. So I think it'd be pretty cool to also meet him in person, because I've always talked to him on the phone, text and stuff. Super nice dude. But I would love to meet him in person. Yep. Forrest is his main contact over there, and he actually picks out all the discus, like you said. And Kenny is really just like the supplier or the retailer, or he basically resells them in the U.S. And Forrest does all the legwork, mainly going out and scouting a lot of these different discus over there. Yep, I agree. Some of the best discus is from Kenny's Discus. I've actually, to be honest, in the last 4 years I've actually kept discus, I've only dealt with two people. Are they from Asia? Yeah, I believe so. Yes, they are out in Asia. The supplier is Forrest is out there. I think the first ones were from Hans Discus, and just because a lot of people knows Hans Discus, and then Kenny's Discus, and then I almost got into some other ones, but I kept going back to Kenny's Discus because one, the customer service is just way too good. Yeah, nice. You have 4 tanks, 2 dedicated to Hans, 2 dedicated to Kenny's. Awesome. You have like the best of both worlds. Like I was saying before, like Kenny's specializes a lot on the colored discus, right? The strains that are really colorful. People are attracted to the color. Hans Discus, for example, he stays true to kind of like the wild strains of discus. Really nice. What's up, bro? What's up? Welcome. And so it depends on what your flavor is in terms of the discus you like. If you're all about like the show, the colors, Kenny's Discus is world class in terms of that. Oh man, and that is it. I'll go back to this because I kind of started in a little bit early, and some of you guys might have missed it. But here is his list of Discus. The price is always really affordable, even though people say, "Oh man, they're so expensive." The one good thing I like about Kenny's is he gives you a really nice price range. So even if you can't really afford certain species, like you'll have, like for example, like what I was really interested in was this red cover cross, or down here the Heckle cross. Like they're really close, but like as you can see, like if you want a bigger size, a lot more expensive. If you want a smaller size, they're only $50. So something that everyone can afford. Yeah. Kenny's Discus sells out like wow. It's so fast. So pretty much what I used to do when I actually bought from Kenny's Discus, and I'll tell you the quick rundown. So I have Kenny's number on my phone. I'll text him straight up. Text him like, hey, like towards the end of the month, hey, when are you going to be sending out that list, right? And he'll say, sometime, it's normally in the weekend, so it would be like, Saturday, Sunday. And I'll just wait until Saturday, Sunday comes. He'll post this list here, and literally before I even see the picture, because generally I know like what I want, I'll text him, hey, I'm interested in these. Can you shoot me pictures of these like ASAP? And he was like, yeah, I'm posting up pictures right now. Take a look at them, and once the pictures go up, I kind of like, for example, like out of this here, I'll say like, I want this one and this one, for example, and he'll be like, you got it, like I'll try to get those two, whatever. But yeah, they do. He does sell out really fast, and pretty much if you don't text him within like a couple of days, a lot of like the very nice strains would be pretty much sold out. Welcome guys. We are up to 4 people. We had a lot of people come and go earlier. If you guys have any questions, put them in the chat. This is also my first stream live, so if there's anything weird about the chat or the live stream, like audio is jacked up, video is jacked up, you guys like the mic's too loud, like I have no idea, right? So this, you guys have to kind of feedback to me and let me know if everything's a-okay on your side in terms of receiving this. If you guys are actually seeing this chat here, I put this little chat on the left side, and I don't see it on my side, so I don't know if it's actually displaying as you guys are like putting in these questions here. They're supposed to display, but yeah, refresh when it comes active. Okay, let's do that. Boom. Nope. Oh, that's why the pop-up is weird. Hold on, give me a second here. I have to put another pop-up screen. Okay. Boom. 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 There we go. Let's see. Let's see some of these questions here. Picked up. Ooh, nice. Nice. Yeah. The one thing about Kenny is he's very good in terms of picking pairs. Especially if you give him anything like maybe 4.5 inches or above in terms of size. His accuracy, to be honest, for me, when I say, hey, Kenny, can you pick 2 females and 2 males, or 2 whatever, right? He literally 100% of the time gets them all right. Like, he's been in this industry and he knows the Discus so well. But obviously you can't know for sure, right? You can't know for sure until you actually see breeding. You can't know for sure until you actually see eggs. And even when you see eggs, it's not even 100%, because it could be like a female laying and then another like female like pretending to fertilize the eggs, and you don't know until the actually the wigglers. But yeah, you're right. Like, Kenny's super good at picking like these, or sexing the Discus. Like, he's, for me, 100% of the time he's always correct. Let's see here. Do you think Discus and live plants really mix? Yes. A planet tank with any fish, it's pretty much like their natural environment, right? I think it definitely goes well together. You know, there's gonna be debates between bare bottom and keeping substrates for discus, and I've seen the benefits of both worlds, I guess. And to be honest, if you're breeding or trying to breed, stick with bare bottom. I've done it with both, and right now I'm not successful for my pair just because they just keep eating all of their fry. So I don't know what's going on. They're still eating their fry, so I can't really do anything about that. But if you look in the past, I actually had a pair of discus, and I did it in a planet tank, straight up planet tank, and straight up like just CO2, just all out, like high tech planet tank. And I got the pair to breed, got wigglers, and the fry went all the way up until almost 5 weeks before I actually lost them. I lost them due to basically ammonia spike in the actual tank, just because I had a bunch of fry in there and I was feeding them. I was doing water changes every other day, but it wasn't enough, to be honest. If you have that many fry and you're trying to feed them, you know, to get them like, grown up. And then afterwards, I didn't really get success on that pair ever since, just because again they would just eat their eggs. So yeah. What are your new house fish room design? No, it's not an. It's gonna be pretty much the same setup. I will have the garage. I won't have as much space inside just because the wife wants the house back to herself. I did take up a lot of space in the current house, so I need to give that back to her. But let's see here. I do have a study office. It's 10 foot by maybe 11 foot, so I need to be able to fit my computer desk here that I'm doing all the edits in, and then the rest could be, you know, whatever tanks I want in that room. And then I have one little nook in the actual living room that I'm gonna keep one of my 90 cm tanks in there, the 55 gallon. So I'm gonna keep one of that in there as display. It has to be nice. That's the one thing that the wife said was, if there's any fish tanks that are displaying outside where people can see, it has to look nice. So that one would be kind of probably my Ultim / like discus tank with, like, you know, the planet tank going thing right there that I have currently. That'll probably be in there. And then I have all of the garage, so pretty much all of my garage tank setup will kind of go outside again. But the thing is, right now I have it laid. So let me find a let me find a piece of paper. Give me a second. I'll draw it out for you guys. All right. So I got this piece of paper. Let me pull up the chat again. I'm sorry. I'm like just. What's up? Welcome back, guys. Let me know how the chat is, please. If I need to adjust anything, the audio, the video. Crap, I don't have a pen. Oh, here it is. Here's my pen. Okay, I'm gonna draw out a very fast layout of what my tank setup looks like right now in the garage. They're just sticks, there's just figures or whatever. So currently the tank setup is just horizontal like this. I'm thinking of doing this kind of setup along the walls pretty much, so that I can actually maximize my space to the bottom here. So I want to have the 50 gallon low boys along the walls to maximize the space in the center. I don't know, just because right now it's super crammed. I just have stuff everywhere. So like my lawnmower, my garbage, just stuff are everywhere. Tumblr, let's see. Eggs. Ooh, you got some eggs, nice. You got leopard frog plecos, nice. What size are your plecos, by the way? The biggest one I have right now is probably like 2.5 to 3. It's just kind of seeing like how big they actually get before they actually start breeding. And the thing is, I honestly can't tell the males and females apart from those. They just look all the same to me. Let's see. Thinking of a discus display in the future. Would love to see a plankwood rockscape without plants. Is that okay? Yes, actually, that would be actually super nice. The only let's do this here. I think it's not ADU, not ADU. Discus Hardscape. I'm gonna pull this up. Yes, that's right here. Take a look at this right here. This is one of the most simple hardscape discus tanks that I've seen. This is a great example if you want to just do hardscape and just keep discus. They have some like nice it looks like rummy nose and some other tetras up here. Very simple sand. There's no plants, just a simple rocks. Super nice. This is something that would be very, very nice. I'm very lucky where my wife is also. She doesn't take care of them, but she loves them. Nice, nice. Shells for breeding racks. Do you recommend the shelves? The metal shelves are actually very well put together. The shelves that I actually have are from Uline. The only reason why I picked Uline is because of the dimensions. Specific ones, they're kind of standardized, right? But with Uline, I'm not endorsing, they're not like whatever sponsors, but the reason why I picked them was because, let's see, if you type in metal rack, is because they have different sizes, and a lot of the sizes actually fits these tanks, right? I knew that I wanted to get a low boy, and the low boy is kind of low. It has like specific sizes, right? And if you go on here, this is the exact one I have. The only drawback is they has particle boards, so I had to coat this with like water resistant stuff, because over time, if it gets wet, it will disintegrate, literally just evaporate. So if you do get something like this, make sure you like coat this. I coat mine's like 4 times just to make sure that it's going to be water resistant. But if you look here, a lot of the setup here, it comes in like very nice big size. A lot of it is like tank dimension like specific, right? So like something like with the 50-gallon lowboy was like this exact dimension layout here, and the height, it just depends on your garage, right? So if you need like shorter or longer. And the other good thing is like as you can see here, each shelves holds tons of weight. So yeah, anything with the metal racks, super good, man, super good. Nice. Okay, yours is around 3.5 for those leopard plecos. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, no problem, no problem. Yeah, this is, go for something like this if you want to keep it simple. It's easy to maintain and vacuum, and it's very clean. The only drawback with sand, I found, is like when you start getting algae or poop or something, especially if you get white sand, it just looks nasty. It just collects. But if you're up, maintaining your water changes and your siphoning, it will look very nice. That's the other good thing about like having a planted tank. If you want to go that route, is the plants take care of everything, right? Like the substrate's black, so you don't even see the poop, right? It's just like whatever. So that's the one benefit of having a planted tank. Let's see here. Your plecos started breeding last night. Oh, nice. And they started breeding around 3.5. Awesome. I actually have a lot of the Starlight Plecos, but none of them seem to want to breed. I have actually 3 of them, a reverse pair in the Autumn Angelfish tank right now, and no action. The female just literally just like runs away. It's just like somewhere over. The female is about like 3.5 inches. The males are pretty big. They're about 4-ish. But yeah. So yeah. Yeah, that's actually, I started to get into plecos a lot more, and I would love to breed some of the plecos that I have. But again, I bought a lot of them really small, so you can't breed them at that temperature. What temperature? Super high? Yeah, that's another thing too, right? I have to play with the different temperatures. Actually, with the discus tank, because I actually have a sump, the actual oxygen exchange for that tank is really good. I actually have an air stone in the sump, and then it has an overflow, right? So the gas exchange in that tank is really nice. And actually, because of that, I'm actually thinking of like just converting a lot of my tanks to sump, just because the gas exchange is just way much better than just a normal canister. And hang on the back is actually pretty good in terms of breaking the surface agitation and whatnot, but the maintenance on that kind of sucks, and it could get clogged. But yeah. Nice. Yeah, I definitely need to start playing with some of these parameters like you mentioned for Plecos. I just have a lot of them just in like all like in a community tank, so they have to be set at a specific temperature. But yeah, definitely will need to try that out probably when I move or do something, because a lot of people say, you know, for zebra Plecos, for example, and you need to do like RO to kind of simulate like what is it, like a rainy season. It's cleaner water or whatever, and I haven't done that. I just haven't gotten around to do it, just because I just don't want to make RO water and just dump in, you know, with the water change. It's just way easier with tap water. But yeah, I agree. I need to play with either some of the temperature and then probably some RO water parameters, just to kind of do some swings and whatnot, just to see. Yep. Sumps, man, the sumps are really nice. And when I started getting to sump, and it's probably like maybe like a year ago, 2 years ago, to be honest, 2 years ago. Don't use RO water. Oh, nice. You only use tap. Maybe your tap water is really good. My tap water is actually pretty decent, but it's really hard, so like the pH is super high. But what I was saying, oh, the sump. I got into sump probably 2 years ago, and I wish that I wasn't as scared, to be honest, to jump into using sump, because my god, I would have saved tons of money, because I've been just using like what is it, canister filters, and then, you know, as you get bigger in terms of canister filter, it gets more expensive, and they work great, don't get me wrong, they're awesome, but man, you're right, like sumps way more superior, hands down. And then also you can like I've been thinking about this for my next house, is I'm going to probably like try to plumb multiple tanks into like one sump, so that I can save in filtration, and then also like everything is just running off of one, you know, sump, and I don't have to worry about like one, it's like a bigger like volume, like water volume, right? So it doesn't crash or whatever. And also I only have to dose like once. For example, if I'm dosing like right now, like if I have like a bunch of tanks, you know, you sit there and you have to dose like individual tanks, I can just dose all in one tank. That'd be so awesome, you know, for like fertilizers and whatnot. Yes, when you are cleaning sand, hover over it, and to be honest, because it's really fine, you'll end up sucking some of the sand up anyways, so don't worry about that. What I normally do is you grab the tube. I don't have anything, so let's pretend that this is the siphon or whatever, right? And this is the end. You put this down, and I always grab the end here, and you kind of just clink it, or just kind of like hold it like this to stop it, or even the other end with your hand or thumb. So you'll just kind of like suck it, and then like if you pull up too much sand, just, you know, hold this, stop it, let the sand drop, and then like start it again. So that's the way I've been doing it. So maybe we can maybe you guys have some other ways, but I don't really have that many sand tanks other than my reef tank, and I'm thinking of actually doing bare bottom for one of the reef tanks when I restarted in the new house. Good fish. Outdoor. Wow, that's actually a huge ass outdoor tank. Is that a pond? Upside? Is that gonna be a pond outdoor? The anemones are doing good, man. I started with 2 and they multiplied, and actually I had 5 at one point and I sold 2 of them already. Oh, it's gonna be a pond. Nice, nice. Do you live in like a state or a place where it's going to have snow, like it's gonna freeze? If it does freezes, you're really limited to like koi, goldfish, and then like some like, you know, hardier fish like bass or whatever, if you want to kind of go that route. But if you're in a state or an area where it's going to be warm, yes. Yeah, wow, yeah, I know. Anemones are really expensive, and you know, the one thing I want to try to do eventually, if I ever get around to it, is try to sell some stuff online for you guys. And for example, the anemones that I showed you guys on the last video, I only sold them for 40 bucks, you know, locally, 40 bucks. San Fran, nice. San Fran is actually, it can drop a little bit in terms of temperature, so some of your tropical fish may, what's up, what's up? I'm still going, like it's all trial and error now, Aquatic. Thank you for coming and joining. There's a lot of people coming and going, so no worries. But yeah, I only sold the anemone for like for 40 bucks. I mean, you know, I could have gotten a lot more money. It's just, you know, it's just like, hey, you know, they're multiplying like, you know, like crazy. So a lot of the people around where I live, they've gotten some pretty good deals with just 40 bucks an anemone, and they're really nice too. But the one thing I want to try to do when I kind of get into the newer houses, try to get some more different species of anemones, some of the rarer ones. That would be really nice to get, and then that way I can kind of like propagate them to get them a little bit more affordable for other hobbyists. Because I don't know if you guys looked, but let me pull this up for you guys. Some of the other species of anemones, let's see, this is the one I really want to get, but I have no idea what the price is. Like, look at this. Like, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking it's gonna be like $1,000 for this. That's how ridiculous it is, because I've never seen a yellow anemone like ever. So something like this is like pretty crazy. And I have no idea what the price is. Welcome guys. The stream is going strong. I'm just kind of just ranting and just answering questions. So Q&A. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the chat. Thank you for joining. Let me know how the chats in terms of like the stream is going. I have no idea. This is my very first stream. Let me know if the quality's good, the mic's good, if I need to fix anything, tweak anything. Yeah, man, this is something I do not want to drop $1,000 on, and then like, okay, imagine this. Imagine you go and you spend $1,000 on this anemone, right? You drop $1,000, you come home, and this thing dies. What do? You cry? Like, I would cry. I mean, you just lost $1,000. like there's no like refunds, you know? Like, you're gonna bring it back. It's like, hey, you know, do you have a 14-day like, you know, refund policy for this? It's like you lost $1,000. But yeah, that's the only drawback about expensive things is, you know, unfortunately things could die, and if it does die, whew, your heart just sinks just a little bit. Awesome, thank you for checking on the audio and stuff. I have no way of verifying other than like looking later when I record. I'm also recording this just in case if like the live stream doesn't record. I have no idea, right? I don't know if it's gonna like play on YouTube afterwards, but if it doesn't, I have a way of just putting it back on there. But yeah, so this is one of them that's really nice. I think another one is what is it? Flame tip? Yeah, so something like this. You see these ones here? Look how crazy these colors are. This is a rainbow. Something like this. That's insane. Like the color in that is insane. Like, what would you guys pay for this right here? Like, for me, like, just because I know kind of like the price of what anemones are, just because I've done research, I'll probably pay maybe like $250 for this, maybe $300, and that's a lot. That is insanely a lot, by the way. Like, and the thing is, for these anemones, you're getting something like this, man. Like, they're not gonna give you like the full like crazy like big anemone, just because when they get a lot bigger, you can kind of split them, either like force split them, or you can kind of promote them to split by changing some of the parameters of your reef, and they'll split on their own. But you know, when you get like something like this and you split them, like, you just made like, you know, you just made an extra grand, and they split again, you just made like, you know, $4 grand, whatever this is. But yeah, it's hard to really get into reef without tidal pools. Interesting. Ins and outs, finds the rocks. Yep. This is like the reason I haven't gotten to salt hard as if it's expensive for oh man, yeah, I know. The one thing I have to say about the reef and just saltwater in general is actually you can actually get into saltwater fairly cheap, to be honest, and actually be very happy. So if you look, when I started maybe like 3 years ago into reef, I was like looking at mainly expensive stuff, you know, all these colorful stuff. And forewarning, anything that looks nice like this, or anything that looks like really nice, crazy, colorful, everything is expensive. But you can actually get into reef fairly cheap, to be honest. You know, if you look around forums, you look around like local, you know, just your local like clubs or whatever, they'll actually sell a lot of these things that, you know, will be like twice the price, 3 times the price, for a lot cheaper. Yes, I've seen, like, I don't want to promote like this place here. Like, here, I'll show you how much this thing costs on this guy's website. Like, it's insane. Like, this thing right here, it's $800. That's crazy. That's crazy. It's really nice, but $800, man. Like, if that thing dies on me, or even if it dies on shipping, oof, I would be cringing, and I would be I would have a heart attack. But yeah, you can actually get into reef fairly cheap. The only thing with reef is it's super expensive to start off if you don't have the right equipment. Generally, like getting all like just the saltwater stuff, just the, you know, what is it? The meters to read your salt, mixing the salt itself. Those can add up very, very fast. But what I found is once you have all those like simple tools or whatever, like, you know, you put in a couple grand to get those initially, everything else runs kind of like autopilot, like a freshwater. And you can actually get a lot of like the livestock fairly cheap. And to be honest, like, some of my favorite fish are clownfish, and clownfish nowadays are actually super cheap to get. You know, you can get a nice pair for like $60, $80. And actually, if you look at forums, you can get some of the nicer ones, like, you know, the designer clownfish, for like even cheaper, because, you know, they're either getting out of the hobby, or they're just trying to get rid of them, or just trying to get a better home. Requires okay, so when do they, so with reef tanks and saltwater, do they require more attention? You have a business, yeah, I totally understand. And with Planet Tank, it's, yeah. So I'll be honest, with my reef right now, I have not done a water change in that reef for like 3 weeks, and it's running perfectly fine. To be honest, when I first kept reef tanks, I was like, man, like, I need to be up on, you know, these water changes. I was doing weekly water changes. And to be honest, if you have the right balance of macroalgae, corals, easy corals, if you have like SPS or anything like that that requires, like, you know, your parameters to be exact, then you can't get away with that. But like, if you're getting softies, like what I have is just softies, easy, like hardy fish, and just macroalgae, man, you can just let that tank ride forever. The only reason why I actually do water changes is to replenish the elements that my softie needs, and actually the softies don't even really need that much in terms of elements, right? So if you actually Aquatic, if you really want to get into reef, try to do a planet reef tank. Like when I got into reef tanks, I knew a lot about planet tanks. I wanted to keep it simple, and I got into doing a planet reef tank, and it's exactly like a planet, like a freshwater planet tank. Super easy. The only thing is you gotta make sure you get fish that don't eat the macroalgae, because there's a lot of fish that does, a lot of crabs that do, and that's the only really hard thing, is just making sure that you pick the correct livestocks to kind of complement your tank. So just get like a pair of clownfish. If you got a pair of clownfish, you're good. That's it. That's all you need. Let's see what else we want to talk about. Yeah, I love clownfishes too, man. There's a lot of other fish that I'd really like in reefs, but like they require bigger tanks, and they're just too expensive, to be honest. You know, like even though I really appreciate and I like a lot of the fishes, especially a lot of the reefers that have them, they're expensive, man. You know, it's great that you know, a lot of people that are out there that can afford them, but just a lot of like other people can't. And you know, you can get just as nice of a setup with just doing like a nano setup, or just using other fish in substitution. And yeah, you can definitely do it, man. Aquatic, I would like to see a reef tank from you next year. That would be your New Year's resolution from me to you. Start with a nano. Expensive, yes. Difficult, it depends. It really depends. Difficulty depends on what you get and what you want to do. I would say the difficulty can be very easy if you get the right corals, softies, pretty much anything softy, and the right fish, and it can be very easy, man. Very easy. Thank you guys for joining the stream. What other questions do you guys have? Let me go back here. If I missed anything, I'm sorry. I've just been kind of ranting a little bit here. Oh, another thing I want to do is for some of these live streams, eventually when I get into my new house, the office is going to be with some of the tanks. So hopefully some of the background, right now you just see a wall, but hopefully I can kind of point the camera to some of the tanks so you actually see some of the tanks live, and that'd be pretty cool. So there you go. Hey man, you got I think you convinced your wife to get a pond, right? So I've been trying to convince my wife to get a pond for a long time, and I can't. She won't do it. She's just, it won't happen. I don't think it will ever happen. But you got your wife to get, you're able to get a pond for you. So you can just say like, hey, we'll just start off with something small, Okay, see, it's still in the works, but you got it to work and you got it to happen. So yeah, no problem, man. Have a good one. I will try to do some streams in the future. This is a kind of a test run, and thank you guys for coming and joining it. I really didn't post it just because I didn't know how it was going to look or be, to be honest. Like, maybe the quality is going to be crappy and nobody shows up, right? So but yeah, thank you for coming out. Have a good night if you guys are peacing. But I'm going to stick on here for a little bit longer, answer some of your guys' questions. Aquatic, thank you for coming. So if you have any other questions, let me know. Let me see what I want to talk about here. So some of these anemones. Let me see here. I'm gonna look at some good ideas for you, Aquatic. Some nano reef tanks, some simple setups. Look at some of these here. These are like, okay, so like these, some of the corals can require a little bit of work. But if you get some nice softies, which are like, let's see here, kind of like, you know, anemones, kind of like zoas, those kind of softies, mushrooms, like the mushrooms, those are good. Do nano tanks require sumps? What kind of filtrations do you recommend? So it depends on the tank, man. Actually, you know what? Here, let me do this for you, Aquatic. Let me do this for you. Crap. Let me answer your question in a second for the nano tank. So, what I would recommend, to be honest, if you're getting into a reef tank, and I wish I knew this earlier. I started with just kind of trying to build stuff from scratch. Red Sea reefers. There's a nano version of this, and this is just one example. You don't have to buy the exact one, but if you look into an all-in-one tank that's pre-set up for a reef tank, it comes normally with a sump, an RO, like top-off area. Dude, you're set. Like, you can get some of these like really nice, like let's see here. Let's see what the cheapest one is. So this is a 20-gallon. Something like this here. Very nice. Easy setup, all in one, built, and I think you just have to add in a light. And I actually think that you can actually get one with the light. And this is actually pretty big, to be honest. If you get something smaller, like even like a 10-gallon or something like that, you can even get away with just hang on the back. Like, look at Mass Aquariums, for example. All of his tanks are just hang on the backs, right? So filtration wise, you don't have to get a sump, but I think a sump is really nice just because it removes a lot of that that weird like white film kind of like build up on the surface. Every time you stick your hand in there, you know, oil, dirt and stuff, it just kind of build up. It removes a lot of that. It actually helps with reef tanks because it has a lot of built up of proteins, right? And protein skimmers is the reason why you have protein skimmers, is because it has a bunch of those in there. But yeah, Aquatic, like, look into something like this. It doesn't have to be specifically this brand, but you can look at like all-in-one like nano tank setups. So it's literally plug and play. And all you have to do is find a light, throw it on there, like a reef ready light. Throw it on there, fill it up with RO water, put some sand, and you're good to go. That's it. It's literally that easy. But yeah. And I bet you once you kind of get into it, you'll kind of like see that it's actually not that hard. And to be honest, when I started, let me see if I have my playlist here. I remember my first setup was a 25-gallon. And yeah, plug and play, yeah. Plug and play is a great idea, and I wish I kind of knew that in the past when I first started. But the other thing for me is like I really like learning why you need specific things. It does cost a little bit more money here. This is the very first reef that I started with here. And day one. I'm going to put this on here for you guys, but I'll just shut off the actual sound. But I want to show you guys like pretty much this layout here is the exact same layout as this, but I actually bought every component myself, and I think I saved a little bit of money. The old school intro. But if you look here, I have this return here, which is just a overflow. at the time I didn't want to drill my tank, so this was kind of just a hang on the back overflow style that went down into kind of a canister. Like, it was a wet and dry, but it was like a canister style, and it got pumped back up and out into the tank. I actually had this, and I actually removed this later down the road, was a UV sterilizer, because I was like, man, you know, I need a UV sterilizer to control the algae, because I don't know what I'm going to keep here for like, you know, controlling algae. But I have a wave maker pump. Yeah, this tank, I really love this tank, actually. I learned a lot from this tank. And a simple just heater on here, and that was it. Eventually I moved away from, yeah, here, I think I showed you guys, there's an RO, like it comes with this auto top off thing right here, right, that gets kind of pumped into the side of the tank. But yeah, the one thing I would recommend is actually a lot of these wavemaker pumps here that has the cords, they get in the way, and they're actually not that good. Invest in some good like pumps, like the Ecotech MP10 is really good. It's programmable. Like a lot of these other ones, they're a little bit more pricey. Again, all the equipment is really pricey, but when you get like the right stuff, it works out, because I ended up having to sell these and like buying, you know, the other ones or whatnot, and you know, now I know, right? It's like, oh, don't ever get these, right? So, but yeah, this tank was really nice, because I actually had my clownfish like laid eggs on here for the first time, and this pair here of clownfish I had, I still have them. Like, I still love them. Like, they look really nice, right? And they were cheap. They were super cheap. I got them, I think, for 40 each or something like that. And these were like a little bit in the higher end at the time in terms of designer clownfish. So yeah, super nice. I like pufferfish. Pea puffers. I had a tank with pea puffers, and man, the one thing with pea puffers, they're really, oh yeah, the pea puffers are really hard to get them to eat other stuff. They only eat snails, and to be honest, I had a tank dedicated to just reproducing snails, like the Malaysian trumpet snails. They were just making them en masse, and what was crazy was I was feeding them like just these snails like every day, right? And I ran out of snails. Like, how crazy is that? Like, I ran out of snails because I was like, these pea puffers would just eat snails. That's all they eat. They don't eat anything else, just snails. They're really hard to keep. So that's the only drawback with pea puffers. They're just really hard to keep. Pistol shrimp and goby. Yeah, I almost actually got one of those a long time ago. Those are pretty cool. Dual, like, just combination. There's a lot of cool combinations that you can get with reefs in terms of fish, and they just interact really nice. To be honest, Aquatic, like, if you get like a clownfish and an anemone, like those two, like, you can just stare at it for days. Like, the way that they host it, the way that they just play with the anemone, is just really mind-blowing. Like, what's really interesting is every time you would feed the clownfish would actually drag the flakes all the way to the anemone and just spit it out, and to make sure that the anemone actually has food, and they'll go and eat other flakes. It's just like a weird like bond that the clownfish does with the anemone. It's pretty cool. Alright, guys, wow, the stream actually lasted almost like an hour and a half. Any last questions before I kind of like call it quits here? This is the first stream, so thank you for joining, all the people that came and, you know, that came and stopped by and said hello. Yeah, man, you can stare at the clownfish for days, Yeah, thank you for joining. I'll try to have some more of these in the future, especially. I don't know, I won't have a schedule right now, but I'll see. You know, I'll kind of pop up and go, and on and off here and there, just to kind of test it to make sure everything works. But yeah, man, actually down the road I would love to get one of these too, but just right now the price for some of these are pretty expensive, to be honest. But if you get them used, I think you can get a pretty good deal. Alright guys, thank you for stopping by, and I'll try to do some more live streams, but yeah, I'll probably film something tomorrow just for like the weekly updates, so you guys will see that. So yeah, alright guys, have a good night. Peace.